What if you need to trigger some piece of media from the calendar, but you're using a new playlist every single week? Well, how can you automate that so that it happens every single week? Well, stick around and find out. Presented by Church Tech U, it's the ProPresenter Show. On today's show, how to automate media with the calendar in ProPresenter. Hi, and welcome again to the ProPresenter Show. This is the show where I teach all about ProPresenter. My name's Paul Allen Clifford. And before we get started, if you've been using a video countdown and you're kind of confused as to how you would have that automatically start using the calendar without editing the calendar every single week, go ahead and tell me about it in the comments below. So this is something that I've heard more than once about someone that says, oh man, I love the idea of the calendar, but the problem is that it points to a particular playlist and then the presentations within it. If it pointed to the library, then it would really be great because we use a countdown video, not the countdowns that are built into ProPresenter. So how can you get around that problem? Well, let's head over to my computer and we'll take a look. So here we are in ProPresenter, and if we go into View and then Calendar, there we are. First off, I've got several things in my calendar here. Let me accidentally almost change that. So let's add a new one. We go down here to the lower left-hand corner. First off, if you haven't already done so, make sure that calendar is enabled here at the top. But then click on the little plus button here for your new event. Call it something that makes sense, you know, like countdown video or what have you. And let's say that it is a video countdown. That's why I called it countdown video. So if we go down here to action, after you've already set up the time, the date and the time that you want this to be on, and then maybe you'd click on Sunday to repeat it every single Sunday at that time. So if you go down here, notice we've got playlists, we've got macros, we've got capture. What we don't have is library. So I would have to change the playlist every week. And while you could have like a sample playlist that only has one thing in it, and that is the countdown, there's actually a little bit better way to do this. So I'm going to leave this over here, and then let's head over here to macros. So hide myself real quick, and now you click on the little plus button for macro, and let's call this countdown video. Now right click on it, and we're going to add an action, a media action. You might see where I'm going with this. So I click on this, and now I can select any piece of media. So let me see if I can find something. I'm just going to select a motion background. Not that I don't have a countdown in here somewhere, but the reason I'm choosing this is because this doesn't have audio, and I don't want it to trigger audio in this particular tutorial. So we're just going to do this. I've already brought this in, so it's going to say, hey, what do you want to do? See? So I'm going to use the existing version. Okay. So now notice when I click on it, it plays the video. Now I'm going to go ahead and clear that out. And now let's go back here to calendar and add action and macros, default collection, countdown video. And just to show you that this will work, I'm going to click on test, and it should play the exact same video. So it's actually fairly simple when you remember that there is a media action choice that you can add to a macro, and then you could do it with the macro. I talked to someone at the in-person class that I did this last week, and she was saying, yeah, we have a slide with the macro on it, and anytime we have one of our teens run it, it's confusing to them because we have just kind of a generic playlist, and it goes to from their perspective, the wrong playlist. Then they have to find the right playlist. And I said, well, why don't you just trigger the macro? She goes, what do you mean just trigger the macro? I said, well, the normal way that you would trigger a macro in ProPresenter is to drag and drop that onto a slide. But if there's nothing else on that slide, it's just that macro, you can skip the triggering the playlist with the slide part and just trigger the macro directly. So this is useful if you're doing something else. As long as you can make the macro with the appropriate action, then ProPresenter can trigger that and just go directly with that. If you like this content, you'd probably like my ProPresenter Quick Start course. So head on over to TDM.fyi/ProQuick. Give me your name and email address, and I'll make a login to that class for free. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford from TrinityDigitalMedia.com and ChurchTechU.com, reminding you to go out and change eternity.